Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Epps World Entertainment Podcast. This is Corey. I am your host for the most of this podcast, of all of this podcast actually. Let's do a big rundown real quick. This is of course an entertainment podcast. We'll be talking about movie news, TV, anime, just anything within the fandom that we can. So let's jump right into it. All right. In 1994, today, Pulp Fiction was released. That's right. Pulp Fiction, if anybody has never watched it, was the second film that Quentin Tarantino released back in 1994. The first one being Reservoir Dogs, at least one of his big ones. If you've never seen Pulp Fiction, go watch it. It's literally an anthology piece to to Quentin Tarantino. You get a lot of like early Quentin Tarantino stuff before it gets like super insane and everything. So happy birthday to Pulp Fiction. Let's talk about Marvel news, everybody. First off, this is from the Twitter page Marvel Updates. Daredevil Born Again. Now, if no one's seen the Netflix series Daredevil, I would say you might want to go watch it just so you at least get a idea of that character of Charlie Cox's character as Murdoch. And Daredevil Born Again will have more mature and gritty tones than the Netflix series it had before. So that means they're gonna hit the ground running. And we've seen Daredevil cameo like in Spider-Man No Way Home and She-Hulk a couple times, and even in the TV show Echo, where we finally got to see him kind of fight. We got to see him fight a little bit in She-Hulk, but She-Hulk was more of like a comedy based thing. It was kind of lifted the darker tones from Daredevil, and we got to see him in a yellow suit, and it's the yellow iconic suit in that one, so that's something. The runtime for each episode will be an hour, and there will be several cameos. The cameos that we know so far, Punisher, it's coming, John Berthoud's Punisher, Jessica Jones, we know, is supposed to show up. There is a funeral in the first episodes. I wonder who's getting taken out, though. Is it somebody from the original cast? Because I know the big rumor that they ended up having was for Karen Page or Foggy Nelson to end up getting killed. And that's how they were going to start off the series. But then they went back and did reshoots. And so now they're a little more in it. So I wonder who the funeral's for. And of course, the first test screenings were very, very positive. So that's a good thing. We're hearing good news about this. And a lot of people are waiting for this. Now, this Daredevil series is supposedly supposed to lead into Spider-Man 4. But the way things are sounding for Spider-Man 4 lately, I don't know. Because for a while, Marvel wanted a ground level Spider-Man movie. But Sony wanted a multiverse movie. And they had a whole big thing about it. So now we'll see what happens with that. We'll see if Daredevil shows up in that. But for now, let's move on. More Marvel news. Don Cheadle, on the status of Armor Wars, literally quotes this: "You can find out and let me know. I'm not sure where anything is right now." That's not good. If he's supposed to be the main star of that movie, which was originally supposed to be a show, then how in the world does he not know anything? Which means I think Marvel might drop it, to be honest with you. Armor Wars and Vision Quest both have been kind of in the back burner. a little bit, but we started at least hearing a little bit more traction for Vision Quest somewhat. So now I'm hoping that we get to see Don Cheadle, because he's been roadie for a while, for a long time. Like, give him his due, man. So, moving on to more. Clea will be a member of the Black Priest in Doctor Strange 3. Clea is, of course, played by Charlize Theron, and in the comics is actually supposed. She is the wife of Doctor Strange. Um, it's one of those. I'm wondering how far they'll go on this. I wonder if in this movie they'll make her the love interest. So far, also in that news, director Sam Raimi will return to direct Doctor Strange 3, and Denzel Washington has been cast as Dormammu. Now, in the first Doctor Strange movie, Dormammu was played by Benedict Cumberbatch. Not many people really know that. He lent his voice to it, and which was kind of cool because it was one of those things where like he's sort of facing himself. So I'm wondering how they're gonna do this, because Denzel Washington, you know, you hire Denzel Washington, you want to see Denzel Washington. You don't want to hire him for like a CG voice only kind of thing. So, and I wonder if he's gonna go Training Day on it a little bit. Like, I would love to see him be like, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange, you better listen. You ain't gonna shoot me in the back with no magical blast. All right, I'm gonna pick up that bag. I'm gonna pick up that pack of cigarettes, and I'm gonna be on my way. All right. And then lastly, Venom: The Last Dance runtime has been released. Without the credits, the movie is going to be an hour and 35 minutes. All right. This movie is supposed to be Tom Hardy's last, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they end up doing this. Okay, moving on to some DC news. It is official. The Joker movie collapses by 81% on its second weekend. The sequel makes about 7.6 mil this past weekend from the opening weekend of 37.7. Nobody is wanting to see this movie. Honestly, I just went to the movies the other day, and I'm not going to lie. The reviews have kind of threw me off from even wanting to really watch it in a theater, you know? I went to go see Piece by Piece, the Pharrell Williams movie, which, by the way, I dropped a review for that on the YouTube channel, so you guys go check that out now. I'm hoping, honestly, the first movie didn't really need a sequel. It would have been nice if they kind of kept it the same way instead of sort of throwing like a musical montage. Maybe like if you throw one musical thing in there just to maybe show like the blurs of reality, but you can't do that with this one. I mean, honestly, DC is luckily not. It's luckily just moving on. This is from DC Film News. James Gunn clarifies the announced DCU slate is in development, not that it's all coming. That he's quoted to say that all depends on the scripts. We'll never put a half-assed script in production just because we announced it. That makes me feel good, to be honest with you. Honestly, if you looked at the DC EU, James Gunn's big thing for it, it was a little rough beginning, and it had some good ones like Wonder Woman. And honestly, I didn't mind watching Ben Affleck. You know, I honestly think he did a great job as Batman and everything. I think Henry Cavill did a good job as Superman, but I really wish they would have opened him up a little bit more. And I just wish that I just wish they had delve a little deeper into the other ones. Like, maybe instead of trying to rush to do a Justice League movie, wait about 10 years to do one at that point. And let each superhero have their own. Give them somebody. Build up Darkseid, and then give us Darkseid to begin with, not Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf is like a side character to Darkseid. So it's nice to see James Gunn is trying to tread lightly on this. He also confirms that Supergirl, World of Tomorrow, and Lanterns are the only live-action DC studio projects that are actually in pre-production. So Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow will be a movie, and Lanterns is going to be a TV show, which they just cast Lanterns, Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, and Hal Jordan. Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre will both play Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. All right, in anime manga news, one of my favorite shows has been the Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. I'm honestly waiting for another season of that to drop, to be honest with you. The manga adaptation is about to end in 5 chapters. This comes from the Anime News Network. Manga adaptation of original anime series launched about April 7th. The 26th chapter of Nico Fuji's manga adaptation of Daga Kuba's original television anime series, Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, or Yuro no Courage wa Okjinai. I probably butchered that. That's my Japanese for you. Revealed on Sunday that the manga will end in 5 chapters. Fuji launched the manga adaptation on Kodansha's magazine Pocket app on April 7th. Kodansha published the manga's first compiled book volume on May 16th, and the 3rd volume on September 17th. Writer Yuki Yoka, the head writer and scriptwriter for the original anime, penned the anime's 3-volume novel adaptation. Kodansha published the first novel's first volumes on May 20th, the second volume on the 18th of June, and July 18th for the 3rd and final volume. So if you are a huge anime, if you like music, period, honestly, this is probably one of the most inspirational animes that you could have watched. And it's honestly one of the best sounding animes, especially like with music wise. Of course, you've got your 2024 fall schedule coming up. One of the animes I just got done watching the first 2 episodes for is Dan Da Dan. Dan Da Dan. Dan Da Dan Da Dan. Dan Da Dan. I just like saying that, Dan Da Dan. Honestly, I'll tell you this, my quick review for it, because I put up a real quick one on YouTube. It is honestly one of the funniest, weirdest animes I've ever watched. It's about a boy and a girl who one believes in ghosts and one believes in aliens, but they don't really believe each other to begin with. So, but when they both encounter each other's things, one gets cursed and one gets kidnapped by aliens. And so they end up having to team up at some point. And there's 2 episodes out right now as of this podcast. And it is, honestly, like I said, one of the funniest ones to watch out there. Other than that, you've got Sword Art Online Alternative, Gun Gale Online 2 coming out. You got Season 3 of ReZero. I'll Become a Villainess Who Goes Down in History. Blue Box, Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest, and Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, Season 5, and something that I've been waiting for, Dragon Ball Daima. Now, this is supposed to be the last piece of work of Akira Toriyama. it is literally going to be the last piece of work of Akira Toriyama. And really, they kind of went for him more like at first as a consultant, they said, from my understanding. And then he dove right into it. So it was nice to see that we kind of get a final piece. Now, this is supposed to be set before Dragon Ball Super, from my understanding. And the first episode did come out, but I think it won't hit Netflix until this Friday. So if you guys get a chance, I will do a review of the first episode and let you guys know. I'll probably either post it on the YouTube page or maybe talk about it on the podcast. Can we talk about an anime that I've been having a hard time with? And I can't, I don't, Rick and Morty the anime. Rick and Morty the anime. I love Rick and Morty. And as a Rick and Morty fan, like, I'm trying to watch it, but it kind of pisses me off a little bit just because it loses that humor. Now, I understand it's a different medium. It's a different type of animation and whatnot. But the only thing I'm finding funny right now in the anime are just the galactic police in it, the insects on there. And they've kind of been funny here and there, but Rick and Morty themselves in it are kind of just washed. Now, Rick and Morty has probably had a hard season as far as like like it was a funny season, still has the humor, it works even though Justin Roiland is gone. It was a lot better to me when Justin Roiland was there, but what can you do? Things happen in life that you have no control of. So, I'm hoping that things will start looking a little bit better, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it's honestly almost over, and I'm kind of glad. I'll probably finish watching it just because I'm a glutton I'm a glutton for anime sometimes, and I hate myself sometimes, so I gotta watch. So I gotta see what all else is out there. All right, moving on to some other news from. This is technically an Amazon Prime, but have you watched the show Invincible? If you haven't watched the first 2 seasons of Invincible, go watch it. Season 3 teasers leak. This is from comicbookmovie.com. It is confirmed February 2025, the show will have its 3rd season. It states that the first teaser for the 3rd season of Invincible has leaked online, and it confirms its previous rumors that the series will return on our screens early next year. There was a significant gap over 2 years between the first and second season of Prime Video's Invincible animated series, but we had been assured that the wait for season 3 wouldn't be as long. And that's now been confirmed thanks to a leaked teaser. So there is a leaked teaser, of course, out there, or it might not be up there anymore. I actually haven't looked, to be honest with you. But who knows what everything is when it comes to the whole leak stuff. When it comes to leaked information and whatnot and all that, especially, I have a nice and fine point and whatnot for leak. I love looking at that kind of stuff. But that being said, also, you got to be wary about what kind of leaks are kind of out there anyway. Especially when it comes to like TV shows and movies and everything. So, all right. So, I'm not a big fan of this film series, but I think it's kind of important out there. The movie Terrifier 3 is literally the #1 clown movie out there. And this comes from the Hollywood Reporter. Terrifier 3 isn't clowning around. The slasher pick is easily winning a weekend of curiosity and cringe at the domestic box office, where Joker Folie et Deux is suffering the worst. And literally, the Joker is getting beat by a terrifying clown with a chainsaw wearing a Santa suit. it's the boy. It honestly, it looks like honestly, I've seen some reviews of this movie, and honestly, Terrifier is one of those movies that I'll put under my book of probably never going to see, and not because of it's a bad movie. It looks like a great movie, to be honest with you. Just there's certain kind of gore movies that I can watch and certain kind of gore movies that I can't watch. The budget for this was about 2 mil, and it made that back and more. You know, right now at the current box office is 19.4 million. It's doing well for itself based on how much they spent for this movie. So I'm glad to hear it's actually doing pretty well. So Keira Knightley is about to debut as an undercover agent. All right, it's a Christmas spy thriller called Black Doves. The spy thriller was first announced back in April 2023 in the UK Commission from in-demand writer Joe Barton and production company Sister, who did Chernobyl and The Power. Netflix, earlier during the 2024 Edinburgh TV festival, announced it had already ordered a second season Black Dove. So it's not a movie, it's a TV show. It actually looks really interesting. And plus, I haven't seen Keira. I love Keira Knightley. Especially, like, she was great in the pirate movies and all that and everything. I always thought she was, like, pretty cool. But I love her in a movie called Begin Again. You can also throw in, I guess, what was that? Kick It Like Beckham or whatever. But I really, really love her in the movie Begin Again. That one I recommend for anybody. It's literally about a former A&R guy who's down on his luck in life and whatnot, and a singer, or I'm sorry, a songwriter, if I remember correctly. She's a songwriter, and he wants to work with her to make a pretty good indie album so he can kind of get back into his company and whatnot. So it's really good, very heartfelt. It's got a good all-star cast on there: Mark Ruffalo, Keira Knightley, Adam Levine, Haley Steinfeld, James Corden is in it too, of course. So yeah, I recommend it for everybody to go see. All right, well, guys, that is the podcast for this week. Next week, I'll put out another podcast, of course. This is Epps World Entertainment. Enjoy your week.